7 reasons why Vue JS is so popular. There are several reasons why Vue JS has taken out a podium finish for 3 years running as one of the most popular JavaScript front-end frameworks, as voted by developers themselves. There's a new player in town, and it's not react.js. Welcome to Kofi Group. We're the executive recruitment specialists dedicated to matching software developers and machine learning engineers on a direct hire basis with VC-backed startups in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, New York, and Austin. Our videos cover hiring tips and strategies for startups, software engineering, data science, interview preparation, salary negotiation, remote work, recruitment tips, and much more. Subscribe now for the latest software engineering and machine learning insights, invaluable hiring tips, and the best career building advice on YouTube. Also, make sure you stick around to the end of this video for a special bonus segment you don't want to miss. An easy learning curve and a streamlined framework mean that Vue JS may eventually edge out React as the favorite JavaScript framework or library amongst developers. But why has it gained so much popularity? And where does it measure up against the current king, React? What is Vue JS? While JavaScript is its own beast, the ecosystem it exists within is more important than the programming language itself. Frameworks and libraries make the developer's life so much easier by providing a solid platform, culminating in less bumps in the development road. Vue JS is one such framework. If you think of JavaScript as the alphabet, then Vue JS is the phrasebook that enables the programmer to construct intelligent sentences to communicate with. Vue is an open-source progressive framework that is designed to be incrementally adoptable, as the core library is focused around the Vue layer only. That being said, it's more than capable of powering sophisticated single-page apps with the help of modern tools, and if there are libraries to support it. Originally, Vue JS was developed as a way to take the best parts of Angular and build a custom tool around it. The data binding and data-driven way of dealing with an HTML-based document object model, or DOM, was favored in lieu of working with the DOM directly. Unlike Facebook's React and Google's Angular, Vue JS is developed and financed solely from donations by users via Patreon. It's interesting to see such widespread adoption on GitHub despite not having the backing that members of the Big 4 tech companies have. What it's used for. Vue JS is primarily used to build web interfaces and one-page applications. In saying that, it can also be applied to both desktop and mobile app development thanks to the HTML extensions and JS base working in tandem with an Electron framework, making it a heavily favored front-end tool. Vue does this by using traditional Model View Controller or MVC architecture to view the user interface of an app or website by using its core library as the default view layer. It's flexible in that it can also operate with a component-based architecture or CBA, just like that used in React. Why it's popular? Put simply, it's a Vue-oriented product. The view is the most essential part of everything that occurs inside the system, and all information is only validated if it interacts with views correctly. Creating just a single view is pretty basic, and here lies the main advantage and desire to use Vue JS. The simplicity and the low entry barrier. All you need to do is load the interface and add JavaScript to begin. Data is then sent to the view directly using simple syntax, where Vue JS automatically renders the elements without coding. An instance of the system can then be used for the element's rendering. The tool allows for modification of parts of the code by keeping the information in the data object, while the updates affect other linked parts in real time. The pros. Number 1. Lightweight. The Vue JS framework is tiny, almost comically so. It's just 18 kilobytes. Blinking takes longer than the download. Number 2. No-brainer. Vue JS is really easy to pick up, and it's been this characteristic that's been the main driver behind its widespread and increasing adoption amongst programmers. To start coding in Vue, you don't necessarily need expert-level comprehension of libraries, JSX, or TypeScript like you do with Angular or React. All that's required is basic knowledge in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Number 3. Be a tool. After 6 years post-release, Vue JS has accumulated a powerful set of tools for unit and end-to-end testing, as well as a plug-in installation system. Factor in the Vue JS has its own browser debugging tools, server renderer, and a state manager, and you're well equipped and on your way to building a front end. Number 4. Sense of community. The online Vue JS community is nothing short of fantastically helpful. The crowdfunded nature of the platform and the fact that it is not backed by a company like Facebook or Google has gained Vue a cult following. As a result, there are multiple guides to help you along, as well as super active Reddit and Discord channels where some helpful Harry will be able to completely answer your queries. Number 5. Dominant. As we touched on, a DOM is a representation of HTML pages, with styles, elements, and page content shown as linked objects. This generates something that looks like an upside-down family tree with the document branching off into its various parts, linked by lines that demonstrate the relations. As the user interacts with the HTML-based web page, the browser has to update the information and render it to the user's screen as objects change their state. This process is normally cumbersome and slow, and the whole page has to refresh even if just one object changes. Vue JS uses a virtual copy of the original DOM that figures out what elements require updating, without re-rendering the entire DOM, greatly improving app performance and speed, even better than react.js and Angular. Number 6. Two-faced. Vue JS inherited two-way data binding from its parent Angular. This is a connection between model data updates and the user interface Vue. This makes it way easier to update related components and track the data that gets updated. In Vue JS, the bound data gets updated as the DOM objects change in real time, and this reactivity makes data updating more concise and a much easier task. Number 7. Divide and conquer. In Vue JS, each piece of a web page or app is expressed as a component, an encapsulated element of the user interface. These can be written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript without having to divide them into separate files. These chunks of code can be reused as templates for similar system elements. As they're stored in separate files, the layout is super easy to read and understand, meaning it's easier to maintain and fix. Testing can check how even the smallest components of the app work on their own. Because of this flexibility, Vue JS is able to integrate with almost any existing application. It's JavaScript-based and doesn't really need any other tools to work. Switching from React or Angular to Vue JS doesn't really cause any issues, as essentially Vue is a mashup of the two and can talk to both Model View Controller and component-based architecture. Have you used Vue JS before for a project? We'd love to hear from you. Type Vue JS in the comments below and tell us about your experience. The cons. Number 1. Language barrier. Vue JS was developed in China, and as such is extremely popular there. Some of the forum discussions, plugin descriptions, and instructive documents are in Chinese, so expect that there may be something that gets lost in translation along the way. Number 2. Poverty pack. So as Vue JS is community-funded and developed and lacks significant backing, it lacks the support for adaptation to large-scale projects. The technology isn't stable or strongly supported enough to offer the instant fixes for issues that a huge company would demand, and could be provided from either React or Angular support. Also, although there are more and more tools being developed, Vue JS has a long way to go compared to the sheer abundance of tools that React and Angular have at their disposal. But that doesn't mean that it won't one day. Number 3. Inexperienced. Because Vue JS hasn't been around as long as its competitors and took a while to break into the market and see mass adoption by programmers, there is a phenomenon where the employment market doesn't have a great number of experienced Vue JS developers. Congratulations, you made it to our bonus content. Thanks for staying tuned in. As a special reward, we're going to share with you which companies are currently using Vue JS. Who's using it? More and more companies are starting to use Vue JS to build their front-end user interfaces and websites. Nintendo, Louis Vuitton, Adobe, BMW, Upwork, Alibaba, GitLab, and Xiaomi are all Vue JS users. Even Google built their careers platform based on Vue JS and not their native Angular framework. And Apple built their tutorial website with Vue JS. Vue JS has experienced this surge in popularity because it's just so damn easy for developers to adapt and implement the basic elements that every app or website requires to function as a user interface. The degree of difficulty to start working within the Vue JS framework is minimal, and those familiar with the basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript coding languages can literally jump right into the deep end without much concern about drowning in the pool. The big upside is that tooling and support will only get better with more widespread use. And the fact that Vue can roll with the big boys like React and Angular while lacking the huge investment dollars shows how capable the framework is, and that it may eclipse its competitors in coming years. We hope you enjoyed 7 reasons why Vue JS is so popular. If you learned something from this video, please click that thumbs up button and let us know in the comments if there's any recruitment, technology, or startup-specific content you want us to cover next. Are you taking full advantage of TypeScript? Check out our video called TypeScript and 7 Things You Need to Know About It in 2021. To be the first to see other amazing recruitment, employment, and startup strategy videos, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on. At Kofi Group, we're the executive recruitment specialists dedicated to matching software developers and machine learning engineers on a direct hire basis with VC-backed startups in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, New York, and Austin. We help startups outcompete faang, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and big tech in the highly competitive war for talent. To benefit from a confidential conversation about your career and some of the best opportunities for software developers and startups, contact Kofi Group today.